Okay, my levels are whatever they are.
We should just cut a massive, like, us clapping.
Well, I did have this idea, and I didn't know how you'd feel about it. I was going to just take the intro to Friends, and you know the bit where it's like
just constantly have us
basically chop us in for one massive clap.
Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul.
And I'm Patrick.
And we're going to talk about the oversaturation of TV under the guise of, hey, what is good?
What is good? It's a question that now has no meaning, because everything when it comes to TV is pretty much good.
Is a fair amount good.
And it's a bit of a problem because we get it a lot. It's like, oh yeah, what's worth watching on TV? What's good? So, well, how many hours of your life do you have?
Very much so. Don't forget that we release videos every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. GMT time. So check out the rest of the movie or the video library there, and don't forget to wait until the end to see some more videos.
Yeah, and give us a subscribe while you're having a little poke around there. It'd be a bit of crack. We'd love to have you on board. Now, obviously, I should be telling you that if you hang around, we'll be able to tell you what is good on TV. We can, because it's very easy. You think of most things that you've heard of, and they're usually not bad. There's two approaches to this, because you can ask somebody, well, what have you seen? Because it's been so good for so long. That's the thing that's changed. TV, Netflix, HBO, everybody included, TV programs have gotten to such a level that you can go back to Soprano times, you can go back to The Wire. If somebody's like, oh, what's good to watch? Well, have you seen Sopranos, Wire, whatever? Or do you only want something that's brand new? Because there's 5 really good new shows most years.
Yeah, like that's the biggest thing is when The Wire came out, when The Wire, Sopranos, West Wing, when those kind of shows came out, they were kind of like, these are the good shows.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other good shows that was also released during that time and stuff, but not to the not to the amount that we have currently, because it's now very much over to a taste thing.
Yeah, and I think it's important when somebody, and that's the thing. You can either have somebody give you something as a recommendation that's like, oh, you know what you'd love, and then sometimes it'll be, well, what's great, but it mightn't be your thing. And I'm really, really into the it mightn't be my thing stuff, because so much of it is so good. At least now, even if it's not your thing, it's probably had some care and attention put into making it, so it will be a good representation, and you may end up loving it. I think a good example of TV that I recommend to people, when people say, oh, what should I watch? I'm like, Barry. Barry is one of those shows that's happening now that's just great. The Good Place is another example of something that I think is just great, and it's different enough to kind of go, even if you're not into that sort of thing, if it's not your thing, it's still going to be worth it for you. Mm-hmm. So now it's great to be able to say there's so much good stuff that you have a few staples that you can throw at people and go, no matter what you're into, you're probably going to find these good because they're just great.
But I find that weird, because it means that everybody else will have their own staple as well.
Yeah.
So it means that I would love to go round to loads of people and go, what staple? What are the 3 main TV shows that you recommend people if they ask what's good? And then go around like a big and kind of get a Venn diagram of where are they all? Because I say you have there's so many now, because with the end of Game of Thrones, which wasn't great at the end.
No.
Which goes...
I'll link in the video up there.
Which goes... with the end of Game of Thrones, it means that there's a whole space opened up for the fantasy genre.
Mm.
And we did a video once again about those. Not plugging these. This is actually a point.
This is working really well. I'll keep doing this.
Yeah. Which goes... The point is that, with Game of Thrones gone and the fantasy genre kind of opened up to it, we could end up having instead of having the one next big fantasy thing, we're going to have 6 or 7.
That's true.
And the problem with that, which is the major point, the reason we're talking about this, is the oversaturation. How good is the one that shines to become the new Game of Thrones going to have to be to outshine the 7 other ones? Or is there going to be such an oversaturation that they end up damaging each other?
Just cannibalizing the market, and nobody gets to be a breakout. Well, I think in a lot of ways that's possibly already happened and we don't know it. Like there's the Mr. Robot. What's the Orphan Black? Is it Orphan Black?
Yeah.
I haven't seen either Mr. Robot or Orphan Black, or there were a few other TV shows. And now I know they're not identical or anything like that, but of a certain style or genre that I didn't actually end up dipping into any because there were too many TV shows. The thesis of this whole episode, we're great. It's spoiled. We're spoiled with wealth. But you do end up missing things, kind of going, well, I never quite got around to that. And I'm now starting not to get around to entire genres.
But that's the thing.
So that I take your point. That's a really good point.
Because if you have 7 of the new fantasy, the ones that are plugging towards the Game of Thrones crown.
Yeah.
Like, is there going to be one in that mix that you're going to miss? I'm just using this as a kind of example.
Yeah, I think but the thing is, there's probably going to be 4 or 5 in that you're going to miss, because whichever one breaks out ahead will be the one that I'll end up watching, because I'm like, out of the two of us, I'm not the fantasy guy. But I Game of Thrones I got into. When whatever does come along as the next leading light, I'll be that end of the audience that will only probably watch the one that is successful enough to break through pop culture barriers.
Stupid, yeah. But what happens if there isn't a front runner?
Then exactly as I said, I'll miss a whole genre again.
Yeah.
I'll step back until something takes the lead and draws me back in.
Is it, well, with that, would it be someone recommending it to then one of them to you? Like if I came to you and went, the Northern Lights one is really, really good and I think that you'll like it, kind of thing, would you then probably go for it?
But that's because it's you and it's an area of specialty. Sorry. So because it's you, but in general, so if you applied it to someone who wasn't you, let's say, because I'll do a whole YouTube show with you and I respect your opinion. But even if someone else, I know, I shouldn't have said that on camera, but I respect a lot of people's opinions. Let's bring this down. They can make recommendations and I'm like, yeah, I know you're right, but I don't know if I have time to add. Like somebody has been recommending Ray Donovan to me for a while. I respect their opinion and I know I'll probably enjoy the show. I still haven't gotten around to it though. That's the problem. So even if you say, this is the one that's worth watching, okay, I will probably end up watching that because I'm going to be forcing myself. I'll know that's a genre I won't naturally go to. Paul is telling me. Whereas with Ray Donovan, it's a genre I would probably be dipping into anyway. So it's like I'll get round to it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to miss out on things because of that.
Because now, just as we use the base of the Game of Thrones fantasy thing, if we move that out to the wider TV series, that's a real problem, because it means that with more and more great TV shows coming out, it means that you're going to have the drop-off point of really good TV shows not being able to continue on because they're just not being watched because, like, I don't know.
Too crowded a market.
Yeah, and, like, that's going to be a problem because that's going to be a downfall to the golden age of TV for a while.
Yeah.
Kind of thing where they're going to have to step back and be just like, a studio's not going to make a TV show that's really, really good in a market that already has loads of really good TV shows currently going on.
Yeah.
Like, you would have to have a really good pitch to be able to drill into that middle.
Where's the fear there if more than one TV show in a specific genre really starts taking off? That would worry me more, because then you're facing the cinema superhero problem that everybody believes exists that I actually don't buy into. But what happens if the TV execs in all the different companies are like, well, you know what's hot right now? These TV shows, this style. And they start, and I'm thinking of this with Disney Plus in the back of my mind. If they start making a winning formula and then they make more than one of that winning formula and they're both successful, then other companies are going to be like, we need one of those. And sometimes the money that goes to that one of those will take it away from a Marvelous Mrs. Maisel or a Mr. Robot or a Game of Thrones or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So I'd be worried with that oversaturation that companies will want only winners, and I'm happier if all the only winners are in different genres and a different style, because it's really scary to me that there could be all servicing the same need.
Yeah, I guess that's where the streams come in, as in you've got Netflix doing its own kind of thing, doing like spreading its Netflixiness out.
Yeah, and I think Netflix have done a great job in that respect. I think Amazon have too, to be fair.
Well, this is my thing is
and Hulu.
Streamers are a weirder version of the TV series thing, because they're not with movies. You kind of pick and choose what you want to go see. You don't go and watch one thing and then automatically go watch the other.
Yeah.
You will pick and choose everything, kind of thing. I want to see that. 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 With streaming services, they each have something that you want.
Yeah.
So you're going to choose you're going to pay for every single one of them. So what happens if they start doing what you're saying is they start doing the one thing
they start running to the middle.
Yeah. Does that mean then that's the end of streamers as well?
Well, yeah, it could have,
because that's a different conversation entirely as well.
It could have a retrograde effect and pull them back into the it could actually damage them if that's the way it went. And I think that's a good one. Although, because you mentioned streaming services, you made a good point. I'm going to steal Paul's good point and pass it off as my own. Watch this. I think the saturation of really good TV or the proliferation, which is great, has probably saved the weekly non-binge watched serialized TV, and this was your point, and I completely agree with why. It is because there's so much, you cannot watch everything, that almost now there's going to be cases where people are like, oh, I'm really glad I don't get another episode till next week, because this is naturally spreading it out for me, because I can't watch another 14 hours of a 14 episode series with 1 hour per episode. I can't do that this week. I can't do that this weekend. I want something that comes to me in more bits and pieces. I think that might make a big comeback because of this fabulous fatigue, whatever way you want to look at it.
Yeah, like the binge watching thing, I think, did have its whole market for a good period of time, which is we were consuming things at a very monstrous rate.
Yeah.
But now that we have too much to consume, the bite-sizedness is going to come back in a big way, because like with the Game of Thrones back when, in season like 4, 5 and stuff like that, you were getting like Game of Thrones parties where people were sitting around together watching this one episode, and then they were able to discuss it for a week, and then they got the next one. But with like this is we did the Black Mirror season 5 thing, and like I've only gotten around to watching the new season like recently.
Yeah, and I still haven't.
But the thing is that I also didn't realize that I hadn't watched the full of the last season.
You'd missed the whole thing
until I came back to watch that season. I was like, oh shit, I actually didn't finish the other one. And that's also happening a lot more as well.
And I think that's going to continue to happen. And don't get us wrong, we're not complaining. It would be very weird to go, things are too good. It's terrible that things are so good. I think we're more, maybe we just had a conversation about it, and I think it struck both of us. There are dangers to this.
Well, it can't sustain itself.
No, it can't go on forever. And I hope it goes on for as long as possible, because nobody wants to go back to a time of anybody's just pumping out mediocre stuff because TV is inferior to movies and blah, 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 and all we want to do is just cover an advertising spread for a certain demographic. I think there's, with the reality TV show and all that stuff, that's filled that gap. And I'm not speaking down to reality TV shows, but that's a different type of thing. There's, the fix up your house, meet your fiance in 90 days, whatever it might be. All those sorts of things have filled that gap.
Yeah.
And they're fine TV shows in their own, but we're talking about fictionalized, we're talking about storytelling TV shows here.
Yeah.
And they did not used to be as common. They did not used to be as high quality, and they did not used to be as respected. And I think if we can survive with what we have now, I'd be happy enough if there wasn't a continued escalation. I think we've hit that moment where, you know what, we've taken on enough water and we're still floating.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think we're a few more brilliant TV shows coming in on top of each other where things are going to start breaking. People are going to go, we spent 20 million on this episode, it hasn't worked, we're getting scared, we're backing off.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing is, I think with the TV mini bite kind of thing, it means that you have a lot more space kind of thing to allow the you get the build up.
Mm-hmm.
You get the space that people can watch it not in their own time, but they do have a specific time, and I think those ones will survive a lot faster than the binge watchy ones, because you are just piling it on. And I know people are going to go, yeah, but you can watch them when you want.
Which I love. Like, there's nothing I love more than Like even stuff that comes out weekly,
Mm-hmm.
I have waited till it's over so that I have them all. And that's usually so that if I'm lucky enough to be able to watch 3 in a row because I have the time, I want to be able to watch 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm binge watching intentionally, or just if opportunistically, I'm binge watching. So I do agree that you can still space yourself out on something that's sitting on Netflix. You can.
Yeah, but like what I was kind of go for is the fact that I know people are going to say, yeah, you can watch these at your own time. It's just like, yeah, but like I was meant to watch like a bunch of things that have already come out, and now I've got Chernobyl on top of that as well.
Yeah.
And I've got like, you know, and then on top of that, I've got Netflix movies coming out as well that I have to watch. Like, you know, it becomes this constant building boulder of really good content that I have to watch, but it's getting bigger and bigger the more I chip away at it.
Well, and that's true, and that's the thing, and there is the fear of missing out and all that good stuff that, you know, I still haven't seen some of those classic TV shows that we listed at the start of this, and I'll probably never get back around and watch Mr. Robot, even though I know people have told me it's great, and I respect those people's opinions. I really did listen to them. I know myself now, the window has possibly passed, because that window isn't going to open up again because there's other things landing in on top of it. It's a great complaint. There be dragons, though. It's a complaint that's indicative of something.
Yeah.
And it's a luxury complaint. It's, you know, my iPhone doesn't fit in my skinny jeans.
Yeah.
It's a real first world problem. But my God, I don't want to see it go away. I think that's why we're talking about it. We're so grateful that we're so lucky.
Yeah.
Let's hope that burnout doesn't happen.
Yeah, that the avalanche doesn't kill us. So
how does anybody out there, how would you answer the question of, hey, what's good to watch on TV, or what's a good TV show? Do you have to start qualifying it? Do you ask people questions? Do you mean like, oh, what's a good TV show to watch if you just have this weekend, or what should you get into for 7 seasons, or what have you missed? How do you answer that question? Stick it in the comments down below.
Also, if there is a TV show that you've missed in the past that you've been told is very good, stick it down there as well, because like, I guess if we've seen it, we can recommend it again and try get you. Also, commenting it might get you to go watch it.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Just, you know, I want to know what I've missed on my list, because there have been things put on my list and then just forgotten about that. When people say it, I'm like, oh God, yeah, that as well.
Okay, so one TV show pre-Netflix that you would recommend to someone.
Thanks for doing this with no warning.
I would do so. I'll do Band of Brothers. If you haven't seen Band of Brothers, I recommend it. You'll probably find it in a box set in, like, you know, Golden Disc or somewhere, or, you know, some kind of like Target or something. But Band of Brothers, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. And
it's funny because I was going to say Generation Kill, but I don't know if that counts because I think it's like a limited series or whatever. So I'm gonna go much bigger. Go way back and actually watch something like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Or you know what? Even better, watch Angel. People don't give that show enough credit, and anybody who hates its ending doesn't get that was the only way they could go with the situation they were in. But, you know, there's shows like that people will probably never go back and watch now. And they were huge pre-streaming, pre-DVR in some cases, I think in Buffy's case. So yeah, go back and check those things out.
Yeah.
Also Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah, I'm going through it right now. There are some episodes that are fucking weird, but really good.
It was a different time.
I've just on the first season. I've already gone to 2 episodes where I've gone, ooh, that is really showing the time.
Have you got to Beverly Crusher Sex Ghost?
It's just like, oh,
they walked the tightrope once or twice.
Yeah, very much so.
Although no, Beverly Crusher Sex Ghost, as I like to think the episode should have been called, that one doesn't walk any tightrope. That's just one of those you're like, what happened to the Next Generation? This is weird. It stands out in my mind as the someone's broken it. I hope it's fixed again next week. It's weird.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So we could, as we said, comment down below about a TV show that you haven't gotten the chance to watch, and also comment down below if there's a recommendation that you would get. If that's what you.
Yeah. And if you've enjoyed this, hit a little like there. If you would like to see more of this, hit a little subscribe, but maybe the notification bell. Share it with your friends. But also head back to our little channel page, hit videos. We have all manner of content that you might find fun. So I have been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
And we've been Heroes Out.
See you next time.